Hi, I'm Rebekah Bruesehoff. I'm a writer, speaker, and advocate. I'm a queer mom to 3 awesome kids, including a transgender daughter. And today I want to talk with you about being community in hard times. Because this time we're in, this time of COVID-19 and a global pandemic is really, really hard. In times of crisis and loss, all the rules go out the window and we cling to whatever we can. For me, one of those things is this mantra. Well, maybe mantra is not the right word, but it's this touchstone for myself, my spouse, and my kids. We come back to it when things are hard, when relationships are stressed, when we don't know how we can possibly do the thing, whatever that thing might be. I even got it tattooed on my wrist. Love and grace. That's it. I know it sounds super simple, but over the past decade, these 2 words have grounded me in my identity as a child of God, and they've given me hope when nothing feels hopeful. These words guided my family through our daughter's transition and helped me when I got real about my own queer identity. I've got to give my spouse credit for love and grace becoming this thing in our home for our family. When my kids were really little and I was staying home with them full time, the days were so long and exhausting. I constantly felt like I was failing. One kid wouldn't sleep, the other was destroying the house, everyone was crying. I'd lose my temper. I could never remember when I'd last showered, and next thing you know, I'm hiding in the pantry eating a bunch of cookies. Actually, kind of sounds like this time of sheltering in place too. But anyway. After what felt like the millionth day of total chaos and exhaustion, I sent my spouse a text. The kids are crying, I yelled when I shouldn't have, the house is a disaster, and I have no idea what's for dinner. I'm sorry I suck at this. He responded, "It's okay. Love and grace is the plan." And suddenly, I could take a deep breath. I couldn't handle everything I was trying to handle. But I could do love and grace. I could give myself grace and not spiral into shame and beating myself up. I could love my people, the little ones and the big ones, and give them grace and know they were doing the very best they could. Love and grace was the plan then, and it's been the plan ever since. Of course, love and grace starts with the love and grace we receive from our Creator God. The history of God's relationship with God's people is of God's people continuously screwing up and God going out of God's way to reconnect, because God relentlessly, persistently, and continuously loves God's creation. God loves all of God's creation so much, enough to sacrifice some part of God's self to understand us better. God is continually reconnecting to the creation God made and loves, no matter how much we screw up. That, of course, requires grace. God's grace given to us. That awesome God quality that says, "I'm still here, even when you don't deserve it. So go ahead and do what I'm calling you to do. I've got your back, even if you fail. I love you." Our response to that, the only response, is to love others. Those are our marching orders. God loves us so much, so we go love others. It's not a squishy, sappy, emotional kind of love. It's a gritty, active kind of love. We try to extend just a little bit of that God-like grace to others so we can love them even when we don't want to, when they don't deserve it, and when it doesn't feel like it's going to make any kind of a difference anyway. I want to introduce you to my 13-year-old daughter, Rebekah.
Hi, I'm Rebekah. My mom has been talking about love and grace for as long as I can remember. To me, it means giving everyone a second chance. I try to understand where their behavior or actions are coming from, instead of getting upset or getting angry. It impacts the way I talk to others, or how I act at school or wherever. I ask myself, is this loving? Am I giving people grace? I'm a transgender youth activist, and I get asked all the time how I deal with bullying or haters, and it really all comes down to love and grace. I know I'm unbelievably loved by God. I know that God's got me no matter what, and there's nothing I can do that would exclude me from God's incredible grace. And then I have this community, this family. For me, my actual family is pretty incredible, but I also know how important chosen family is. So maybe it's that for you. Regardless, I have these people who I love and who love me. So when it comes to the haters, the folks who say I can't be who I say I am, or that I'm somehow not right in God's eyes because I'm not cisgender and I'm not straight, I just know better. I'd say they can't shake me, but we all know sometimes they can. People can be really hurtful. So maybe they can shake me, but they can't break me. Because I always come back to this unconditional love and never-ending grace. With that security, with that foundation, I'm free to give them love and grace. It doesn't mean I let them into my life or don't speak up when they do harm, but I don't have to sit here in anger and hostility towards them. I'm free. They always say that they are praying for me. Ugh. But I can honestly say that I'm praying for them. That they might know this deep peace that comes with being grounded in God's love and God's grace.
We are called to live in community with one another, grounded in love and grace. To love when we don't want to give second chances, to forgive. But like Rebekah said, that doesn't mean just anything goes. Sometimes love looks like boundaries. Rebekah transitioned 5 years ago, and when she did, we weren't really sure how our small Lutheran church would take the news. And so we set expectations about what it would look like to show up as a community of faith for this child among us. We said people didn't have to agree with us. They could have questions or even concerns, but these were our boundaries. They could not misgender or dead name our child. They needed to call her Rebekah and use she and her. And they could ask all the questions they wanted, but they could not ask Rebekah, and they could not ask them in front of Rebekah. This allowed us to put a bit of a protective bubble around her while trying to walk with our congregation in what for most of them was a very, very new thing. And here's the thing about boundaries. With clear limits and expectations, it frees us to bravely show up in love. It meant my spouse and I had room to hold space for people who had questions or who were struggling with something they didn't understand. It gave the community a chance to really see Rebekah. One church member, one who was never shy about his opinions, and one who we thought many might struggle with this. He said, "Listen, I don't understand this whole transgender thing, but she used to hide behind your wife and not answer me when I said hi. And today, she ran up to me, twirled in her dress, and gave me a high five. What more is there to know?" Love and boundaries allowed that to happen. So when things are hard, when we're struggling with what's going on in the world, in our communities, in our homes, or even in ourselves, boundaries are really important. Boundaries for our communities, saying this is how we show up for one another, that we can be scared and vulnerable and hurting, but that we cannot take that fear and anxiety out on one another. Boundaries for the people close to us, whether that's your non-affirming family at the holidays or friends talking about politics. We can say, this is what I need in order to be in this space with you. Boundaries have the power to save relationships. That's love and grace. Other times, boundaries might mean ending relationships that aren't healthy for you. That's love and grace too. We can also set boundaries for ourselves. I know that when I consume too much news or scroll too long on social media, it does bad things to my anxiety and my depression. Showing myself love personally means turning off notifications on my phone so I'm not constantly driven back to it by the next ping. It means unfollowing accounts that make me feel crappy about myself. I do what I need to do so I can better show up for myself and my people. And when I inevitably mess up, I give myself grace. I know I am loved, and I try again. What might those boundaries look like for you? In your own body, in your own relationship, in your social networks, or in your larger communities?
Love is hard. Acting in love in the face of fear is even harder. There will be bumps. There will be challenges. There may be conflict, but I can tell you that when we act in love, beautiful and holy things happen. Knowing I'm loved no matter what and surrounded by God's grace makes me brave. It gives me the courage to do hard things, whether that is sharing my truth on stage in front of 31,000 people, because I did that once, or having a hard conversation with a friend because they did something to hurt me. I can be brave because my faith tells me that this is what I'm called to do. And because if it all goes badly, which sometimes it does, I trust my community to help pick me back up. God has given these gifts of love and grace to you. You are queer enough. You are Christian enough. God's grace is like the glitter from last year's Pride. You cannot shake it. It stays with you forever. You are a called and claimed child of God, created in God's own image to be exactly who you are. In the face of pain and struggle and unknown, it brings me great joy to know that God created us, each and every one of us, in all our uniqueness. And the world is a brighter and better place with all of us in it.
It's grace when we celebrate each other in all that uniqueness, in all our queerness. When we say we see you, we love you, you're valid and worthy and wonderful no matter what the voices inside your head or those people on the outside are saying. The queer community offered me that grace when I came out at the age of 36. I'd been a loud and proud mama bear, an advocate for my trans kiddo and all LGBTQ kids for a few years. And it was my kid's courage, her relentless willingness to publicly claim her identity, knowing that in doing so, she was making space for other people to fully be themselves, that inspired me to do the same. I came out and said, I'm not just a parent of a queer kid. This is my identity too. I've always been queer. It just took a while to admit it to myself. To fight against internalized biphobia and societal bi-erasure, to say I'm a member of this community too. And grace flowed as queer friends and colleagues said, we see you, we love you. You're queer enough just as you are, and we are so glad you're here. Every day, I'm thankful for this tattoo, for love and grace. Things still get hard. Sometimes the darkness settles in, and I don't know how long it'll stay. In times of struggle, like right now, we are being called to show up in our communities with love and grace for one another. Loving first, leaning on each other, giving each other grace, knowing we are all coping with and responding to layers of trauma. Giving ourselves grace, knowing that we're doing the very best we can, just like everyone else. And of course, setting boundaries, calling folks to action, fighting for the most vulnerable, and working collectively towards a new normal. So, what's next? Well, love and grace are still the plan.